evening and welcome. I am Amarachi Ubani. Tonight, President Muhammadu Buhari restates commitment to ending Boko Haram insurgency as EU pledges $50 million to assist in the fight. Supreme Court dismisses appeal by APC candidates against the election of Governor Darius Ishaku as Taraba State Governor. A big story tonight examines customers' outcry against high charges on bank transactions. And NATO steps into migrants' crisis, deploys ships to the Aegean Sea to check smuggling of people from Turkey to Greece.
And on business news tonight, Central Bank of Nigeria says its monetary and currency policy actions are yielding benefits.
And on sports news, as Coach Sunday Olisa's outburst continues to generate talking points, the Nigeria Football Federation insists no member of the technical committee has resigned over the issue.
I'm Yemisi Ipaye, and from Abuja, a panel uncovers about 23,000 ghost workers following the probe of multi-salary payments in the Federal Civil Service.
We begin tonight with the president's resolve to redouble efforts and ensure that Boko Haram is completely defeated and rendered incapable of targeting even soft targets. This pledge by President Muhammadu Buhari comes as the European Union has promised the sum of $50 million to assist Nigeria in the fight against the terror group. German President Gauck made the pledge on behalf of the EU after holding bilateral talks with President Buhari in the presidential villa. Our State House correspondent Chukwuma Onekwusi reports.
The German president, Joachim Gauck, is given a red carpet treatment here as he arrives Nigeria to hold bilateral with President Muhammadu Buhari, the first assignment the president is performing after his vacation in the United Kingdom. He inspects the guard of honor mounted by the presidential guard and proceeds for a bilateral talk that lasted for an hour. Talks that centered on how to tackle terrorism, rehabilitate the IDPs, rule of law and good governance for the Nigerian people if the change mantra must work, the economy, especially with fall in oil prices, and then the German financial contribution.
We intend to, which is to say, Europe will support that initiative by making available $50 million.
Germany is one of the first countries visited by the president in the wake of his administration. That visit may have started yielding results, but the conventional attacks on IDPs by Boko Haram is a source of concern to the president as he calls for a redoubled effort by the government.
It's a pity Boko Haram welcomed you by explosions in Maiduguri that took so many lives. But I have attempted to explain in so many fora that Boko Haram was not what it used to be. While they were firmly holding 14 out of 774 local governments when we came in, they are not holding any local government now. What they resort to is using improvised explosive devices to cause maximum casualties on soft targets, as they did yesterday. Our efforts have to be redoubled to make sure that the people in internally displaced camps have been rehabilitated, especially the children. More than 60% of the 2 million people in IDPs are women and children. And more than 60% of them are children. And more than 60% of the children are orphaned. Some of them don't know where they are from. They don't know their parents. This is a pathetic situation the leadership of this government is facing.
The president thanked Germany for support during elections and the German companies working in Nigeria for a job well done. The president did not leave out the important aspect that Nigeria is qualified in number and everything to be at the permanent seat of the United Nations Security Council and calls for the support of Germany. From the presidential villa, Chukwuma Onwekusi, Channels Television News.
In the meantime, the federal government says it is deploying technology to monitor movement in and outside the various border areas of the country to reduce the nation's exposure to insecurity. The Minister of Interior, retired Lieutenant General Abdurrahman Dambazau, gave this hint in Ogun State while answering questions from journalists after inspecting facilities at a private training center in Remo North local government area of the state.
The porousness of our borders is a general problem in the country. I've said it before, we have close to 5,000 kilometers of borders all around, and most of it unmanned. We are looking into the situation. Certainly, one thing I'm very sure of is the fact that we would apply technology in order to monitor the extensive borders, in order to also to check, unnecessary incursion into the country, particularly those who come in here with bad intentions, smuggling small arms and light weapons, smuggling in drugs, and engaged in human trafficking, all the cross-border illegalities that are being done. So we need to do that. I want to tell you that is a priority for the Minister of Interior, because most of the internal security problems we're having has to do with the accessibility and availability of weapons, of drugs. That we will check that at the source. If we do that, I'm sure 50% or more of the internet security challenges will be solved.
Joining me now on the News at 10 to take a look at renewed attacks in Dalori, Borno State is a retired senior army officer, Brigadier General Olusegun Ajana. You're welcome to the News at 10.
Good evening.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, in less than 3 days, we've seen 2 attacks in Dalori, leaving about 75 people dead. If they attack the first time, you would say it's a surprise. If they attack a second time, you'd say, hasn't the military learned that they have to protect Dalori even better? So what's the problem with the military? Is it a problem of manpower or intelligence gathering?
Thank you. The idea is that the Boko Haram fight is at a stage of guerrilla tactics. The command and control of a unified force has been defeated by the military. That's not in dispute right now. The idea is surprise attacks, and that is what is guerrilla in this respect. In Dalori, they drove in from somewhere where we still have not been able to identify. The authorities, the soldiers and the commanders on the ground might have been able to identify that area. They might be doing something about it. But the latest bombing the IDP camp clearly shows that there should be increased surveillance. And one of the things I believe is that the IDP camps should be surrounded by security fences to ensure that we can control the entry and exit in the place. Then also, the perimeter fencing of the area has to be guarded to ensure that those who are unfortunate to have left their homes are still not, do not still become easy victims of these hoodlums.
But General, do you think the military has enough intelligence to fight Boko Haram?
I will not say enough. Enough will mean that nothing will happen. But it means whatever the volume of intelligence we are gathering at the moment still has to be increased. Okay. Surveillance has to be increased. And I will also say, with the latest bombing, I will appeal again to our Muslim brothers and sisters. Let us do away with hijab in those areas for now.
Okay.
It is something religious, it is something personal to those who wear it. It is the means by which these people deceive the members of the public, and they mingle very easily with members of the public, which means even if the security personnel were there, they might not have suspected them.
Okay, that might be a topic of discussion for another day, but the EU has just pledged $50 million to fighting insurgency in the northeast. Where do you think this money should go?
Say again.
The EU pledged $50 billion today to fighting Boko Haram and insurgency in Nigeria's northeast. What areas do you think this money should go?
You see, it is not possible to put a cost to how far we have to go, because until Boko Haram is defeated, until insurgency is defeated, we may not be able to.
Yeah, but what area do you think we need to pump in more money?
I just mentioned perimeter fencing. The area where these people are housed is big. What form of fencing that has to be done to ensure an increased security has to be put in place. That is going to cost money. Ensuring that we can get all hands on deck in terms of security, gathering of intelligence will also probably have to cost money, because the police will be involved, the SSS will be involved, the security, the customs, everybody has to be involved, including even the civilian JTFs and things like that. You know, we need to gather as much as possible, and until we are able to locate where they keep some of these things that they easily put together to strap on people's body to go and bomb areas, we still cannot rest.
Well, I guess the discussion continues in other fora, but thank you so much for joining us, Brigadier General Olusegun Ajana.
Thank you.
To other matters now, the Supreme Court has dismissed the appeal filed by the All Progressives Congress candidate Aisha Al-Hassan, challenging appeal court ruling that upheld the election of the People's Democratic Party's Darius Ishaku as governor of Taraba State. In a lead judgment read by Justice Rhodes Vivor, the court dismissed the appeal for lack of merit and fixed February 22nd to give the reasons for its decision. And in part two, after the break, Minister of Health gives an update on Lassa fever outbreak, says there's no cause for worry over Zika virus. Please join us again.